Hi to everyone in the VC. This is Jacob from Moon Rock. I hope you're all doing well. It's time for my second video on my channel here, and I wanna thank everyone who watched the first video. I think I have 38 views, and they're not all by myself, so that's very good. I have 6 subscribers. I think that's pretty well from a first video recorded on a shitty phone. With just me showing some records, so I'm really pleased about that. I want to give a special shout out to Carsten, a fellow Dane from the channel My Analog Corner. He's been very kind to me, very supportive right from the first video. Go check out his channel. He does some really funny videos. Really, they all look very professional, and go check out his stuff. Also want to give a shout out to Mark from the channel Back to the Vinyl, who I've communicated with from my first video, and he does some really cool videos as well. He has a very interesting interest in music. He loves some very similar kinds of music and artists to my taste, and he does a really good job. So go check out those two channels, My Analog Corner and Back to the Vinyl. Carsten from My Analog Corner, he's always makes sure that he stays hydrated when he does his videos. He always enjoys a little beer. So as a little salute to Carsten, this is actually a local beer. This is an India Pale Ale, organic one, from the local brewery here on the small island where I live, Møns Bryghus. So organic India Pale Ale. Cheers to you. And let's get on with today's video. I wanted to do just a short video on, well, hopefully short, video on the purchases that I made in January. We're now a week into February, and I've had a chance to listen to all of the records that I bought in January. So I just want to show them to you and just give you my 2 cents on the records that I bought. First one is this one from Charlotte Gainsbourg. It's called Rest. Charlotte is a English-French actress and singer. She's the daughter of British model Jane Birkin and French musician Serge Gainsbourg, who you may or may not know. He did the song with Jane Birkin back in, I believe, the 70s called Je t'aime, moi non plus. Was a very big hit, very controversial. I think the sexiest record ever recorded, I think. So this is Charlotte, their daughter. This is her 5th album. She did one when she was very young. Then I think she concentrated on her acting, and in the last 10 or so years she's made 4 albums. This is her 5th one, like I said, in total. Very, very cool, very slick, a French style indie pop, electro pop. Really, really good record. My favorite song on the album is the first single that was released, called Deadly Valentine. That is easily one of the best singles that came out last year, and I was very fortunate to get it, because what happened is that the album, I think, took everyone by surprise that it became so popular. So it sold out pretty quickly, at least here in Denmark, and the word from the record stores in Denmark was that it had been pulled back from the record label. They could not order anymore. For some reason, they couldn't find out why. But apparently a new production is ongoing now, and they're doing another press of the album. But I think by the time it gets out, it has been sold out for at least 2 or 3, maybe even 4 months. So I got this. I couldn't get it in Denmark, so I actually went online, bought it from an English record store. And I was very, very pleased to get this. This is actually the French pressing, I found out when I received it. So that's really cool. It's a really good indie pop, electro pop album. Check it out. Charlotte Gainsbourg, Rest is the album. The next one I bought is another female singer. Oh, there's some glare from the cellophane wrap still on it. This is Aldous Harding. Yeah, wasn't sure of the last name. Aldous Harding. The album's called Party. It's a very somber, very quiet folk pop record. She has an amazing voice. You may have heard the single, which title I can't remember right now. I'll just look it up right here on my computer. It's a very good record. Very quiet, very somber. It's called Imagining My Man. You may have heard that one. Really cool, really good record. Very surprised. I actually got this because it was recommended in a Facebook group that I'm taking part of. It's called Spinning Vinyl. It's a Danish-based group on Facebook. It has, I think, around 13,000 members of people listening to vinyl, taking a picture when the record is spinning, showing the cover, stating the artist and title. It's a really fun group to be part of, and you get a lot of good recommendations for new music, and that's how I got wind of Aldous Harding. Next one I bought is a reissue of an album that came out in 2014 originally. It wasn't easy to get back then, but the reissue I got. Tom York, of course, from Radiohead, Tomorrow's Modern Boxes. And it sounds like you would imagine a Tom York album would sound. Very electronic, almost, I think next to no guitars on here. It's very electronic, cut up beats, it requires something from you as a listener. It really requires that you sit down and listen to this album to fully enjoy it. It's not something that you would put on as like a background music. This really requires that you sit down and listen, basically. It's a very good album. It takes a couple of listens, but it's really good. I love Radiohead. I love Tom York. I think he's a genius. Radiohead are one of my favorite bands. And this album, the backside of the album here, of the cover, it's a really good album. This one is, I believe, even on white vinyl, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is. It's on white vinyl. I think the original version was also on white. Not sure, but I think it was. So if you didn't get this album first time round, there's now a chance to buy it. It's out on a reissue, yes, a lot easier to get hold of. So the next two records that I want to show you are some Brazilian records. I've been getting more and more into 70s Brazilian music. I've always loved like world music or like, exotic pop music. I've always loved like, bands inspired by that music, like Stereolab. So whenever I go to what has become my favorite record store in Denmark, it's in Copenhagen, it's called Beat. They only have new records, newly pressed records. They don't have any secondhand stuff. They have like the best world music department you can think of. It has everything from African to South American to Middle Eastern to Asian to everything you could ever want. And like I said, they're doing really good with importing some Brazilian albums. So I got this one. This is a duo, originally released in 1974. I don't know how to pronounce these guys, but they're called something like Bournier and Cartier or something. I don't know. That's also the title of the album. Really beautiful Brazilian music, influences of bossa nova, of pop, of rock, of traditional Brazilian music. All of it sung, of course, in Portuguese, which just sounds so good. you know, it's like the coolest sounding language in the world, I think. And just look at the album: two guys hanging out in the sun, um, enjoying their time, having just recorded an amazing album. Maybe I don't know. Really, really good. If you want to get into Brazilian music, this is a good album to buy. So is the next one by one of the, I think, most popular Brazilian male singers, at least, Marcos Valle. The album is called Gara. Gara? I don't know. I left the cellophane on because there is like this obi strip almost, and even though it is actually a gatefold, I haven't actually seen the inside of the gatefold. Stupid, I know, but I just want to, you know, make sure that that obi strip stays where it is. So it's called Gara, Marcos Valle. Maybe even more traditional Brazilian sounding than the Boni and Kadi album that I just showed you. Amazing album. Um, Also, you know, with some psych tendencies, you know, psych pop, bossa nova again, really, really good. The label, I'm not sure which label is actually re-releasing this stuff. Lita, maybe? I don't know. Check it out, Marcos Valle Gara. These two Brazilian albums I actually heard of from, you know, Amoeba Records in Hollywood, the place where we all want to go, the church of all vinyl record buyers. They have this series on YouTube called What's in My Bag, where they take musicians, actors, celebrities, I guess, in to walk around their store and pick out some stuff. And those two albums were recommended from some of the people that they had invited. And that made me very curious and made me check out the music on stream first, and then I bought the albums. A great way to get introduced to new music, which is also how I heard of this guy first. Floating Points is the artist. The album is Elenia. This is a mix of like ambient music mixed with jazz and mixed with classical. This guy is so cool. It's like a one guy project, at least songwriting wise, and he has some guys helping him play the music. I can't recall his name now. I'm so bad with names and I'm so unprepared for this video. Anyway, I hope that you can bear with this. Floating Points, Elenia, check it out. Ambient, classical, jazz, techno? No, not techno, but there are some beats on here. At least beautiful, beautiful album. Well, you can, you know, sit down maybe with some headphones, listen to this album, Floating Points. Really good. Released in 15 originally. Now, in this record store, Beat, they also have a really, really cool jazz section, and I've fallen in love with John Coltrane, like many of you, I'm sure have. And I have like a tradition I've started, which makes me even poorer than I am, or than I was to begin with. And the tradition is to, every time I visit that store, I need to buy a John Coltrane album. So when I visited this store in the beginning of January, I bought this John Coltrane Africa Brass John Coltrane Quartet. This is the cover. This is of course a reissue. It was very cheap also. Some really cool liner notes here on the back, talking about the record and how it was recorded, and this album will blow your freaking mind if you're into jazz. Coltrane is on freaking fire. Sorry, he's on fire in this one, on this album. It's so good. The title track Africa goes on for 16.5 minutes, and it's just, you know, everything you ever wanted from jazz. It's really cool to follow Coltrane's evolvement, you know, how he evolved musically and inspirationally. If you listen to Blue Train, which of course was released in the late 50s, much more, you know, quiet. This one is yeah. He was on a roll in this period, and this one, if you like Coltrane, if you like jazz, if you don't mind that it gets a bit hectic and a bit loud, and you know, a man wrestling with his saxophone almost, amazing album. Um, and one of the newer jazz guys who's very inspired, who's seeking inspiration in John Coltrane is of course Kamasi Washington. This is the EP that he did last year. He released his triple album, The Epic, back in 2015. So this one, Harmony of Difference, it is called, an EP with 6 numbers on it. First 5 songs are on side 1, lasting about 15 minutes, and then there is one song on the side B. It's called Truth, that also goes for about 15 minutes. Kamasi Washington is the future of jazz. He does this thing where he, you know, starts off with like a, you know, jazz ensemble of maybe 7 or 8 guys, then in comes a choir, all of a sudden, and in comes like a whole symphony orchestra. And saxophone playing wise, he is really inspired by Coltrane, and everything that he did on an album like Africa Brass that I just showed you. And he just forces his saxophone to reach tones that you would not imagine a saxophone could ever do. Such a talented musician and songwriter, composer, I should say. Harmony of Difference, beautiful, beautiful record. An EP, and you know, I can't wait for a new album to come out soon. One of the heroes of a lot of us vinyl music lovers, Neil Young, released this album last year in December. Actually, with Promise of the Real. It's called The Visitor. Was released last year on CD and then this year on vinyl. So just like he did last year, or last time around with an album, Peace Trail, which was a horrible album. I'm sorry, that was just awful. This one is a lot better. But still, he is miles away from when he was best. The last perfect album he did was in '94 with Sleeps with Angels, and his output ever since, in my opinion, has been you know, sketchy, weak, even. This has some really good songs. It also has some not so good songs, I think, at least. Yeah, that's the backside. You know, I buy every Neil Young record that comes out, crap or not crap. I don't care. I need them in my collection, and it's a good album, and it takes you know, some listening to, but you know, it grows on you. Finally, 3 records I want to show you. Actually, 3 Danish records. So that I also got in January. This is a band called I Got You on Tape. A band that sadly I think is no more. The lead singer, which is this guy, who's also called Jacob, by the way, has been releasing solo albums for the last 5 or 6 years. So I think that sadly this band is over. But this album is really good. It's like indie rock, I would say. Really powerful songs. Really, you know, check it out. He has a really incredible low voice. This is called Church of the Real. It's a really good album. The song title's on here, also on this gold foil thing. The inside of the gatefold just basically has the song lyrics. Really good album. I Got You on Tape. And then one of the best songwriters in Denmark at the moment is a guy called Søren Hus. And apologies to you guys if you can handle a little grown male nudity. Well, sort of nudity. This is the cover of his album. It's called The Midlife Serenade. Loosely translated into English, Midlivsvisen. So it's Søren Hus. He was a lead singer of a band called Sabia, who were very popular in Denmark, and also in some countries around the world, like in Holland, I think they were very big, in Germany as well. Sabia was the name of the band. They had an album called The Second You Sleep, which had some really big hits. Very quiet, very somber, incredible songwriting. The lyrics are amazing, obviously in Danish, but this guy is so cool, and this is such a cool cover. You know, a guy in underwear, resembling or showing the Danish flag, with a guitar on his shoulder. Yeah, he just looks cool. You know, ready to kick ass with his slow, sad songs, but very good songs. And the final one I want to show you is actually it's actually a hip hop record. Now I don't do hip hop. I'm sorry. I don't really. When I was younger, I could listen to, you know, Eminem, Wu-Tang Clan. Well, they're still good. Nas, he's also still good. But there were some, you know, hip hop acts that I followed. Busta Rhymes I followed. Missy Elliott I followed. I've just gotten too old for hip hop. But there's a Danish hip hop band, hip hop and pop rap band called Benal, and that's because the two guys in the band are called Benjamin and Albert. So it's Benjamin and Albert. The album is called Hvis det virkelig er vigtigt, which loosely translated is if it is really important. These guys have just stolen my heart. I like hip hop again. It's really weird for me to say. At least I like these guys. That's the backside of the cover. Double record, 11 songs. So you have to, you know, there aren't that many songs per side. This is the inside of the gatefold. Yeah. So Benal, if you're not Danish, this probably won't make any sense to you. You probably don't care, but this is a really, really good pop rap hip hop album. So those are the records that I bought in January. Set me back quite a bit. We're 8 days into February. I've already bought a lot of new records, but that means that I can show them to you when we reach the end of February. So I can't wait to do that. And I'm really thirsty now, and I just remember that I had my beer on my table here. So cheers to you, VC. This has been my second video on YouTube, and hopefully it will get some views just like the first one. Take care out there in the VC. See you soon. Bye.